Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Bitcoin Trade here. Since I've completely am exhausted from investing, literally buying and selling Bitcoins, I'm not doing anything today. I won't be able to do anything until next week when I meet up with my miner. So it's given me a chance to do an episode. Sorry if I haven't been doing a lot of episodes. I've been really busy. But here's some things I caught up, and you've always, with Bitcoin, you've always got to stay up on the news. Just understand what's going on, and you know, there's some things going on here. It looks like Vietnam warns against the use of Bitcoin, which isn't surprising. Like I said, anything around China and Russia, you're probably going to get a very hostility towards Bitcoin, and we're already seeing that through Ukraine, where they're fighting for their freedoms over there. So you know, is there a currency war? I don't know. So, but well, I should just say, is there a war going on now? All right, we're not fighting with guns yet, but is there a war going on now? Is there tensions being built up on borders? And I would have to say yes, there is, and I think Bitcoin's going to be an integral part of it. So there you go. Mt. Gox files for bankruptcy. I've already kind of mentioned that in my previous episodes. So a lot of things going on here. So I'm just catching up, but I want to look at two particular ones, which is Bitcoin Exchange files for bankruptcy, and then Mt. Gox Exchange is bankrupt. So there you go. They're bankrupt. Okay. So of course, if you've seen my episodes, a viewer did mention that. Kudos to you. Great prediction. Um, and then the last thing I wanted to, to show you was Japan says any Bitcoin regulation should be international. So, excuse me, I've been reading this article, and let's see who it's from. There you go. So you guys can see it and maybe perhaps read that article. And so I was reading the article, and I kind of agree there should be. Of course, everyone has their regulations, laws, and other things, and what they can regulate and can't. But here's what I'm not really for a Bitcoin regulation internationally, because there is no Bitcoinia to converse with other nations. All right, there's no one from Bitcoinia is going to come to the United Nations and say anything. All right, there's some Bitcoin foundations, there's all this other stuff, but there's no Bitcoinia, or Bitcoinia, I should say. So there's governments you can't regulate something that doesn't exist. Well, physically anyway, or doesn't represent a country or a central authority or anything. Bitcoin is something created independently, private, okay, private citizens transacting privately, doing private transactions. Okay, that's all I have to say. Now, I lost money at Mt. Gox, but you know what? Damn it, I'm not going to ask for a bailout. All right, I knew that this is an investment. Investments are not covered by any insurance. On top of that, Bitcoin's not even backed by any government. But what I can do is I can say I took a loss, and any gains I make in the future will have to be offset by those losses. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm not gonna be like a bank, and I'm not gonna be like an investment bank, or a bank, and say, well, we need money because we made some bad decisions, and pretty much take a dump on the taxpayers. Um, so I'm not going to do that, because that's not in my principle to do that. I invested the money that I could potentially lose, and you know what? I lost it. It's just going to have to be written off against my gains. That's what I'm going to do. And in reality, that's what the world should have done. That's what the banks should have done. Um, in my opinion, I mean, it seems like it was too big to fail, but now it's just too big to handle now. Uh, Too big to handle. Too big to deal with. Too big of a headache. So when no one gave a bailout to Mt. Gox, that's what Bitcoin's all about. Bitcoin's not about debt. It's not about money. It's about credit. And you either have it or you don't. If you don't have it, then you don't have any Bitcoins. All right? That's the way it is. And since I'm gonna live by that, I have to do it. So but here's what I wanted to get to was, can there be Bitcoin regulation? I think it's possible, but you're wasting your time with Bitcoin regulation. You should be regulating the money, all right, not the Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is useless. It doesn't even do anything. You can't really. I mean, you can buy something, but what are they doing with the Bitcoin? They're immediately converting it to a legal tender, like that. So I wouldn't waste your. I mean, you can follow Bitcoin, you can see where it's going or whatever, um, but it's gonna be difficult to regulate because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist the way money exists in this world, because money can be converted into cash. You can regulate that. Bitcoins, you know, since they're not considered in currency, I don't know how you can say you're converting something into cash. I mean, it's electronic payments, but Bitcoin's in itself is never brought into the physical world. It's always a digital financial instrument. And I say financial instrument since we're dealing with money, but and in some ways it is. But then again, it's not. It's very interesting what Bitcoin is. And here's the weird part about it is, if they do regulate Bitcoin, what are they saying? Bitcoin is real. So now, everything I've been doing has been done in a way that is mimics money, how I transact with Bitcoin, how I buy and sell and invest in Bitcoin. It's all been, in my opinion, how I've been dealing with things that wouldn't have, if it wasn't Bitcoin, let's say it's a house. Well, I'm buying and selling homes. Or it's a stock. I'm buying and selling stuff. Or I'm investing in a business. I invest in a business, create the value into a business, and then sell the business for the value that I've created in it. I mean, it's just another vehicle. All right, it's just a financial instrument. And I was telling other people that you can turn anything into a financial instrument. You could. So Bitcoin, I don't know what the big deal is. What you all need to do, in my opinion, if anybody's listening, any regulators or anybody out there, is you need to regulate the money, not the Bitcoin. Follow the money. That's what I have to say. Follow the money. Because that's going to be your legal, how can I say, that's going to be how you're going to get it, how you're going to take your legal action. Because there's some, the legal tender is how you're going to, legally act. Bitcoin is nothing. It's not even a currency, so you can't even legally do anything as far as Bitcoin being a legal tender. So that's my opinion. I'm not a lawyer or anything. I'm just kind of putting my ideas out there, speculating, and just giving some ideas out there. And so take a look at this. It's a really interesting article. I don't know how they can regulate Bitcoin, but I know this: they can regulate money right now. So at Mt. Gox, here's the thing about Mt. Gox is their exchange converted to electronic US dollars. All right. So what does that mean? All right. What does that mean? I transferred my money value into a Bitcoin. That Bitcoin was sent over to Mt. Gox and then transferred back into some electronic number that had a US dollar symbol on it. So what does that mean? That means that there was US dollars over at Mt. Gox, or yen at Mt. Gox. I mean, Mt. Gox traded in a lot of stuff: euros, well, euros, U.S. dollars, and then yen. So, if anybody wants to regulate anything, you can regulate your own money, um, if that makes sense. You don't have to necessarily regulate Bitcoin because Bitcoin is useless until you convert it, or if someone is able to accept it for what you want. It's absolutely useless. Um, just my opinion, all right? Just my opinion. But if you regulate the money, if you regulate what you already been or should be regulating, I don't think there's any problems whatsoever. That's my opinion. So that's just read the article. It's very interesting. If there is some kind of international consensus, yeah, it's just so much easier if the international consensus was, well, why don't you everybody just regulate your money of your country, and it's going to be per country, all right? That's what I say. To say, to just say we're going to regulate Bitcoin. Well, how do you regulate Bitcoin? Is there anybody from Bitcoinia you're going to talk to? How do you do it? How do you regulate something that's private, with private people, private citizens creating private transactions willingly? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you can regulate Bitcoin. You can regulate the money. And I think that's going to be the key important thing, is regulating the money. But Bitcoin, it's going to be tough. I would say regulate the money. There's already laws in place for it, so enforce them. I don't know what to say. Enforce your own laws. All right. You created these laws. Enforce them. So anyway, it's a very interesting article. I enjoyed reading it. Everyone's always got to stay on top of what's going on, because it's going to affect how you do things, and what you can and cannot do. Matter of fact, I'm getting so I know I talked in some episodes about hyper trading, the ability to with your Bitcoin or Bitcoins make a trade on top of a related trade with another related trade, and have it kind of work all for you. Well, I'm getting really into that, and I'm actually consulting some legal advice on this. It's getting to a point where it's beginning to be so ridiculous for me trading Bitcoins that I'm gonna need some legal advice now. And I hope everyone out there who's trading in Bitcoins also gets to that point, because that's the whole point of Bitcoin, is for you to live a life of credit, no longer be in debt, and do the things that you think is right. You'll have that ability. So anyways, this is going to be a short episode. This is just a news episode. It really caught my eye. A lot of things are happening. I'm just giving you my input on it. Hopefully this will give you some ideas. If anything, just food for thought. Please like, dislike, leave a comment, or even do a video response. Until next time, stay tuned. Bye.